What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today is actually a big announcement because now from my long form content like this video here has changed from the usual gaming gameplay for me, other stuff like that, game reviews. It is now going to be game reviews and movie reviews. So this is going to be the first video of that series. And so today we're going to be looking at the 2019 film Klaus. Now this film was directed by Sergio Pablos and Carlos Martinez Lopez. I hope I pronounced both those names right. And starring Jason Schwartzman, J.K. Simmons, and Rashida Jones. Again, I hope I spelled that right. This movie scored an 8.2 on IMDb. And for me, I love this film. It is a great take on the origin of Santa Claus. Anyways, let's get straight into it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let's go. So, before we get into this, I'm going to give you guys a quick summary of the film itself. So, the film is about a postman named Jasper. Now, this postman is the son of a very high-ranking individual in the Royal Postal Service, which is the postal service, but basically militarized. There's a drill sergeant, there's a boot camp, all that stuff. And so he is very spoiled. Instead of training, he is actually purposefully trying to fail so he can stay at home in this lavish lifestyle, parties, galas, stuff like that. But instead of his father allowing him to do this, he instead sends his son to a place called Smearenburg, which is at the farther north or the farthest point of the map that they can even reach. Now, as Jasper is riding away on his crappy carriage and with his horse, he is just complaining the whole way, but as he's doing this, the drill sergeant is even telling his father, I believe in punishment, but this is a little much, don't you think? And so, yeah, even the drill sergeant thinks it's bad, so that's how you know it's bad. So after Jasper arrives on the island, he finds himself in a very decrepit, run-down post office where he just hates it here because there are two rivaling families here. There are the Crumbs and the Ellingbows. Now these families have been warring for several years, several decades, several centuries, several millennia, and there's no real reason why except just rivalry. Now, the Jasper finds himself caught in this and is admittedly unhappy about it because they have no mail. They just fight each other. That's how they get their point across. They don't need mail. That's just how they get it across. So, this is terrible until one day he gets a small picture from a little boy who dropped it and flew down into Jasper's hand. And Jasper came up with the idea to teach the kid how to mail it. But as he's doing this, the kid's father shows up and has his dogs attack Jasper. So after this, an old woodsman named Klaus is then found by Jasper after Jasper has basically given up. So once Jasper goes up and finds this woodsman, he is trapped in his shed, and he is terrified as soon as the woodsman enters because he has a giant axe and he is just unhumanly large. So after this, Jasper runs away in fear and leaves his photo of that the little boy dropped. After Klaus sees this, he goes to Jasper and hands him a present for him to deliver to the little boy. Now after this happens and Jasper nearly escapes death, the little boy then finds his present, and after playing with it, Klaus' eyes light up with life and actual joy at seeing what they've brought to this child's life, and it's actually a pretty wholesome scene. Now, after this, Jasper realizes that word got around about last night. So he goes back up to the woodsman, and they begin giving out toys. But the catch is, you have to write a letter to Klaus, because then this gets Jasper mailage, which he needs so he can go home. He needs approximately 6,000 letters. So after he does this, he then is able to start racking in the letters, and the Ellingbows and the Crumbs are very unhappy about this. And they each try to attack and destroy Klaus and Jasper. So they set up an ambush, but their ambush intersects with their ambush, so it doesn't work out, and our protagonists are able to ride away freely. Now, Jasper has still kept his motives of trying to go home a secret, which will come back to bite him in the butt later. Now, after this, the town lights up with joy. There's people talking about Klaus and how cool he is, how he fits down every chimney, even though it's Jasper actually doing this, which is quite comical. Now, eventually, one morning, Jasper meets a Sami child. Now, obviously, she doesn't speak English, so he's just like, he just pushes her away. For the other kids who can actually speak English. And when a bunch of them are like, but they can't write, they can't read or write, he gets an idea to send them to the school, led by Alva. Now, Alva is school teacher turned fishmonger due to no one really sending their kid to school here, as shown by the amount of kids that don't know how to read or write. So, after this, she begins teaching them how to write out their names. And once she does this, her eyes light up with joy, because one act of kindness leads to another. That's kind of the theme of this movie, is that. So, her eyes light up with wonder, and she's like, I can do this again. And she spends a bunch of her savings on making the place nice, tidying it up, making it look like an actual school. Now, some people may say that, oh, this is very much just there so she can be a teacher again, so she can have character development. But I don't think so. I think the fact that she was so inspired and was filled with the flame in her reignited to teach again makes sense, because she came here to teach. She just wasn't able to because no one was sending their kids here to school. But now, seeing just the joy of these kids being so excited to learn, and she can see that she can help these children, her flame is reignited. She feels the urge to help people again. Now, skipping forward a bit, the Ellingbows and the Crumbs decide they must join together so they can defeat this postman and Klaus to stop the town from no longer being this warmongering society, since that is their way of life. So, their first act, when the letters are being sent off to Jasper's father, they throw on a couple thousand more, and this leads to Jasper's father coming to get Jasper, bring him home. And so it's revealed in front of everyone, Klaus, Alva, everyone, that Klaus, or Jasper, was in this only for himself, and that this wasn't really just out of his own heart. But it really was at this point. The Crumbs and the Ellingbows are just making it seem like he's just being selfish, so he can manipulate the town and go back home to his lavish lifestyle. So eventually Jasper gets on the boat, but his father sees how unhappy he is. So he sends Jasper back. And then Jasper leaps onto the big bag of toys that they have, since the Ellingbows and the Crumbs are trying to destroy all the toys. And so he grabs the reins, he gets the horses to go, but they aren't attached. And we get this just silent scene that is just him just being like, what? And just confusion, and it's actually pretty comedic. Before they are now speeding down a hill, being chased by the Crumbs and the Ellingbows. Now, the Crumbs and the Ellingbows get their butts kicked, they're running to icicles, getting yeeted off cliffs, until eventually the bag is ripped, and the leader of the Ellingbows knocks the bag off the cliff, destroying all the toys, leaving our protagonists defeated. But turns out they want the toys. According to Alva, the kids were talking about their parents conspiring to destroy Jasper and Klaus and the whole operation. So they actually have the toys safe and sound on the sled. So they go around delivering all the presents, and then eventually, this is the new tradition. This is Christmas, and this is how the story of Klaus came to be. So we get a montage of everything going back to normal. We get a montage throughout the years. Alva and Jasper get married. They eventually have 2 kids, and eventually we get to the 12th year, and we see that Klaus is cutting some wood when the wind blows past him, leading up into the light. Now, the wind has kind of been a symbol for his passed away wife in this movie, and it's actually been pretty good. And so he makes his way up there, and he is gone. He's supposedly passed away. So we see Jasper kiss his kids goodnight before sitting down, and eventually he hears the jingle bells of Klaus's sleigh, and he says the words, every year, once a night, I get to see my best friend. To be honest, I was choking up after that one. It's just such a good line, and this is just such a good movie. Now into the actual review. So like I said at the beginning, this movie scored an 8.2 on IMDb, and it has a 279 popularity. Now, the directors did a fantastic job coming up with this, and just the whole thing is just actually such a good take on the Christmas, and specifically the origin of Santa. It is just an amazing take on the story, and I would love to see things like this for other holidays. For example, Easter and other stuff like that. Because we've seen that it can be done well with Christmas, it can be done well with many other things. And all the voice actors did an amazing job. Jason Schwartzman did great. J.K. Simmons, as always, he did fantastic. He's just such a legend. Rashida Jones, fantastic job. Amazing on all their parts. This is just such a good movie. Now, what are my personal thoughts on this without looking at IMDb? I love this film. This has got to be one of my favorite Christmas films to watch because it's just perfect, and it's so good. It's such an original idea, and I just love seeing the character development of Jasper from this absolute snob and rich kid to this down-to-earth, loving father/husband. And it's just so good, and most importantly, this animation is just amazing. The 2D animation blended to look like it is 3D animated is such a creative animation style, and honestly, I hope that people try animation styles like this more often, because it works so well, and it is just absolutely stunning. The scene where Klaus is going up the hill to be with his wife in heaven is just so good. With the orchestral background, it's just amazing. Now, a scene I forgot to mention in my summary was about the Sami girl. Now, eventually, she gets her own present, which is a little glider thing, I don't know what to call it. And the scene where she wakes up to get it is just such a good scene. The animation brings it to life, and the music is actually a pretty decent score, despite it kind of being a generic pop song, a generic feel-good pop song. But it is just such a good piece. All the music in this film is amazing. As now a musical artist, kind of artist myself, I play the clarinet. I have learned to appreciate the music in films because so many films have amazing scores, and I feel like not enough people put emphasis on that. Anyways, I think this is gonna be your boy signing off. Remember, Merry Christmas. I'm so glad it's December. Can't wait to make more videos like this. Get ready for Christmas Chronicles coming soon. Adios, stay gaming!